Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. Have you ever seen one of those signs in the desert on the highway where it says, no food or gas for the next 50 miles? Last chance? Yeah. Okay. So what if that sign actually read, no human affection for the next 50 years? No human affection for the next 50 years. Because if you'll think about it, that's exactly what a man is looking at. Not a boy, not a child, not a very, very young man. Something happens at the age of 20 or so, and it doesn't always happen immediately, and it can take many years, and sometimes it doesn't happen at all, but most of the time it's going to happen within 10 or 15 years. And the young man is going to go from being a part of the group to being driven out of the group. And I've been talking about this in my previous videos, and what it's really difficult, and I'm trying to give some men, just some insight into this situation, because it's these two things that are happening at once. It's a real tricky move. You know what I mean? It's like slipping out of a wrestling move or something like that. That if you don't know what's happening and you don't know what techniques to use and when to use them, you're stuck. But if you can recognize what's happening before it's happening and not let yourself get into a certain situation, you can take care of it. So yeah, no human affection for the next 50 years. And even if a woman is showing a man affection, she's doing it for his money, she's doing it for his resources, she's doing it until she doesn't need to use that man. She's pretending. This sets up a really nasty psychological situation in the mind of a man. And I'm just now realizing it. And I'll get to that. But let's talk about, this trap that's initially set for the man. And I'm talking about the productive, rational-based man. I'm not talking about just white men. I'm not. But I am talking about a rational, honorable man who wants to work for his living, who wants to earn his way in the world, who does not want a free handout. Okay? Now, here's the thing. I know that men are taught to seek the free handout nowadays. And this is the trap I'm talking about, okay? We're all equals, everybody's part of the group, everybody's going to be treated fairly, and we're all winners. So that's what the young man is taught. And then as he grows stronger, and as he begins to distinguish himself in life, the group around him starts to recognize, hey, this kid's too strong, this kid's too capable, and they start to shame him. Don't be a bully. Check your privilege. Who do you think you are? It's not your turn to be in charge. Yes, it's your turn to be in charge of your life and your decisions and your judgments. You may judge for yourself. You may judge who you like. You may judge what you like. You may judge what you want to do, where you want to spend your time. You must judge who is worthy and who is not worthy to be your friend, to be your associate, to work with. I understand that you can't just, change your life situation and just, go live on your own, but you can move towards it in steps. But the thing I'm getting at is that the young man is raised to be the member of the group, to be an equal member of the group, to not assert his strengths. As he gets older, then, as his strengths become, to stand out, the group starts to shame him and push him out. I'm not even allowed to talk about these issues, men, without people within our own group saying, hey, man, what's wrong with you, Howard? You're a racist. You're a sexist. I'm not. Well, whatever. So the young man is told he's part of the group. He's not to distinguish himself. He's not to be stronger. He's not to be faster. He's not to exhibit courage. He's not to exhibit initiative. But those are the qualities that he needs to succeed in the world. As he gets older, and some of these qualities begin to become apparent, where he just can't even hide them, he gets kicked out of the group. He gets shamed for having those qualities. That's the trap. He's told that he has to be part of the group, that he must reject these masculine qualities. And by the time these masculine qualities start to manifest, he is shamed for those masculine qualities and driven out of the group for those masculine qualities. That's why fat, blue pill, dickless men get to stay in that group. And that's why you, as a strong, independent, rational man. Doesn't matter what color your skin is, that's why you get thrown out of the group. And how is the young man going to comprehend this? How is he going to see this coming when he's trained to be part of the group and to reject his own nature, but he needs his nature to survive when they throw him out of the group? And his place in the group is that of a servant, right? Because he's the one who's been told to check his privilege. He's the one who's been told to hold the door open. So the man's place, the rational man, not the white man, the rational Western man's place in the group is to be a servant. And if he becomes too strong of a man, they shame him and kick him out of the group. And he needs to become a strong man in order to make his own way in the world, unless he wants to remain a dickless cripple and stay within the group as a kind of non-man, as a kind of fat, flabby man who likes to show off his watch and his shoes and his car. And the young man is trained to think that those things are status, that those, and you know what, those are the things that'll get him a woman, huh? Anyway, that's the initial trap that I'm talking about. So what can you do as a young man? You can recognize it. You can protect yourself and your values. You should work out. You should watch what you eat. You should work hard. You should not chase after other people's approval, but do what you think is right. Because, and the reason isn't so much that, oh, there's going to be so many rewards doing it. No, it's going to be hard. It's going to isolate you. The reason for doing it is to develop the habits, so that when life does require that, when you really cannot be part of this fake group anymore, that you'll be okay. You won't be shocked. Now, here's the other aspect of what I wanted to talk about, and it's so difficult. What if, and I'm going to do it as a kind of mental exercise question, what if you were in a situation that was really, really bad, where you were a slave. You were utterly taken for granted, but people had to smile at you and act like you were an equal. In other words, what I'm saying is what if you were in a world where everybody hated your guts just because of what you were? I'm talking about a real kind of racism, but in a kind of hidden way. What if, for simply being a rational man, for not being someone who can be controlled and manipulated by their emotions and their sexual desires, what if that simple quality made you utterly hated in this society by all women and by all weak men? Okay, so I'm talking about one group of people who are reality-based, and I'm talking about another group of people that are emotionally based. And what if these emotionally based people could recognize a rationally based person and hated their guts, feared them to know, like they're heathen, like burn them at the stake, okay? But they couldn't do it. They couldn't get away with it. They could not even be openly hostile because they're too weak. They're too chicken shit. They're based in fantasy land. You know what I mean? They've got to find somebody else in fantasy land and then go talk about how rotten that productive, rationally based person is. And they have to gang up on him. They can't even do that. They actually have to just kind of exclude them from the group. Okay? So I'm just saying this is an imaginary situation. Okay? Just imagine that if for being a reality-based being, 75% of the rest of the world wanted to destroy you. And they couldn't do it openly. They had to do it through subterfuge. They had to do it underhandedly. And I'm just asking you guys to imagine that situation. You with me? Imagining the situation. Okay. Shit, let's even make it like an 80-20 split, okay? That 80% of the people are just emotional, indulging their instincts, living in their own fantasies, and when you confront them with reality, like, hey, you're gaining too much weight, or like, hey, you're not going to be able to sustain this, they get angry. They start a fight with you when you say to them, hey, you can't have so many people on welfare. I know that some people are deserving of it, and we want those people to get the help that they need, but you can't have 80% of your people on welfare. Hey, it's an unfair burden on the 20%. So what if when you said this to them, they would go ape shit crazy? They would be like, no, you're evil. You have to support the weak. No, the most important thing in this world is to make sure that the sickest and the weakest are held up as the highest and the greatest and become our ideal. We hate you. So what if you lived in that world? A world like that? It's not hard to imagine, is it? What do you think your mind would do? What do you think you would do? Would you honestly wake up every morning and say, 8 out of 10 of the people I'm going to run into would push me in front of a car in the blink of an eye if they could get away with it? You're going to do that? You're going to face that? My point is this. You are not going to face it. You are going to put a pretty face on it. You are going to say, they don't hate me. They don't want to kill me. They just have a different way of looking at the world. And as they said, we're all equals and we're all part of the group. But remember, you're not part of this group. This is an imaginary situation. And because you are strong, because you are productive, because you are reality-based, you're not part of their fantasy group. And you're a great threat to their group. Understand that. So, as I said, imaginary situation. And these people hate your guts, but they can't openly say it. You're strong, you're honest, you're truthful, you're fearless. Okay? And they are the exact opposite. And they hate you. And they want you off of this world. But of course they can't do anything about that. And when you get right down to it, they also need you. Right? Because you're the type of person who does work and who builds things and creates businesses and generates income. And you're a leader. And they're not even, they want the rewards and the credit of being a leader. But they don't have any of those leadership qualities. Quite the opposite. They're sniveling little pigs. They get themselves into positions through their friendships. Yeah, right? He doesn't know that. Yeah, okay. So what would you do? What would your mind do in that situation? Hey, you know that everything that the human mind sees is actually upside down. You know that, right? You remember when you were a little kid in the crib and you were looking around, you were like getting all fucking dizzy and your eyes were all watery and you were going, yeah. You remember. Why, don't you? It's because everything was upside down. Do you remember that? I remember that. And then I remember one day saying to myself, you know what? I can just switch all this stuff right side up. And I thought to myself, that's crazy. That's insane that I could do such a thing. That I could look at a world that's upside down and just through, a decision within my mind, make it all switch right side up. And I even knew that as the situation was happening. And I even thought, and I was just a baby. I have a really good memory. I was just a baby in the crib. And I have a really good memory except for like one or two events. And I remember, thinking, this probably isn't going to work. Of course, and I was just thinking in just ideas, not actual words yet. And I figured, but I got to give it a try because I'm not going to be able to get out of the crib. I'm not going to be able to reach out and grab things. Getting dizzy and sick. So, I tried it and it kind of worked, but it was an effort. But then within a day or so, it was perfectly natural. And ever since, the world has remained right side up, even though the eye is perceiving everything upside down. But the brain just turns it right side up so that we don't get sick and we don't get dizzy. And it stays that way. So what would you do in a world where 80% of the people hated your guts? And when they smiled at you and said, good morning, Joe, good morning, Howard, what they were really thinking is, I want to push him in front of a car. I want to see him die. But they would never say that. They would always smile. What would you do? Because I suggest that just as the mind turns the vision of the eye right side up, I suggest that the man and the rational woman would say to themselves, this isn't really happening. These people don't really hate me. That's what I think they would do. And that's exactly what I think we actually do in this world, of course. That's the point I'm getting at, right? I'm not just making up this situation for nothing. That's exactly what I think is going on in this world. And as painful and as ugly as that sounds, I think there's great comfort in finally realizing this, okay? We are not all the same. We are not all part of the group. We are not all winners. We are not all of the same types. And if you're a good person, I think you're in a pretty small minority out there. Well, no, that's, you know what? No. But I think you're alone. If you're a good person, I don't think you're in such a small minority, but I think you're utterly isolated. You know what I mean? I think there are good people in the world, maybe more than 20%. But I think every one good person is surrounded by 8 people that are trying to take advantage of them, exploit them, and that resent them. That's what I think. It's biological. I don't think that they can help it. I think it's envy based on things like physical ability. It's like if, I'm an average sized guy, moderately healthy, okay? But if I meet up with somebody, who's 6'4", who's 200 pounds with only like 10%, body fat, I'm like, damn, I hope I don't upset this person, Yeah, I'm like, shit, what kind of diet does this person have? What's their workout schedule? But there's another part of me that is like, God damn, why did they get all those gifts? You know what I mean? And it could be that they didn't really get the gifts. You know what I mean? It could be that they were at a huge disadvantage and they had to work so hard to get where they are. And my mind won't even see that. It won't even consider that. So envy is kind of like built into us. Now, I recognize that, that's not one of my greatest traits. And that I'm much more, I'm more inclined to say, hey, what's your diet like? What's your workout schedule like? What do you do that works that I can incorporate into my schedule, into my regime? That's how I am. That's how I was raised. And it works for me. But a lot of other people weren't so fortunate, or they didn't, work at it so hard. And as I said, what would you do with your mind if you were in a situation where 80% of the world was just coming down on you? I think you would pretend that everything was cool and that it was okay and that you could smile at these people and nod at these people. And I think that these people, because this is biologically based, I think they could even be your own mother and your own father and your own brothers and your own sisters. That's a real kick in the head, isn't it? When you find out that your own brothers and sisters resent you. And if you're a male and you have sisters, yeah, that can get really ugly. And speaking of, ugly, I should really wrap this up. Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Please let me know what you think about this subject in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Please join me again, Howard Dare, as I hope to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.